The moon hung low over the fractured cowshed, casting an eerie glow across the broken-down farm. For survivors, Lina, Marcus, Rowan, and Eve found themselves trapped in this forsaken place, their breaths shallow as they huddled behind stacks of rotting hay. The wind whispered through the cracks in the barn's walls, carrying with it a sense of foreboding. They weren't alone. Dracula had descended upon them. Not the Dracula of legend, but the Dark Lord from Castlevania, his power far more terrifying than they could have ever imagined. Cloaked in shadows and ancient fury, Dracula moved through the night like a living nightmare, his crimson eyes glowing as he hunted his prey with cold precision. The survivors had scattered, each knowing that Dracula's presence meant death. His power wasn't just in his supernatural strength, but in his ability to bend the very world around him to his will. Time and space distorted in his presence, and even the thick fog couldn't hide them for long. Lina was the first to feel the icy fingers of dread. She ran towards the old cornfields, hoping to find safety among the tall stalks. But as she sprinted, she felt the air grow cold. The crops withered and died as Dracula appeared behind her, floating effortlessly above the ground. His cape billowed as he stretched out his hand, and with a single gesture, he pulled the life from her body. Lina crumpled to the ground, her soul consumed by the Dark Lord. Marcus, hearing her scream, tried to find a way out, his mind racing. He sprinted through the dilapidated barns, desperately searching for anything that might help him fight back. He grabbed a rusted pitchfork, trembling as he listened for Dracula's approach. The dark silence was broken only by the soft sound of footsteps. Suddenly, the barn door creaked open, and Dracula appeared, his eyes glowing in the darkness. Marcus lunged at him, but Dracula easily deflected the blow, his eyes narrowing in disdain. With a swift motion, he drained Marcus of blood, his body collapsing like a puppet with its strings cut. Rowan and Eve were the last ones left, hiding together inside the cowshed. The wind beams groaned under the weight of time, and the smell of decay was thick in the air. Rowan looked out the cracked window, his heart pounding in his chest. "We have to move," he whispered. Eve nodded, her eyes wide with fear. But before they could even make a step, the shadows in the corner of the shed began to move. Dracula materialized from the darkness, his fangs bared, his presence suffocating. Rowan pushed Eve to run, but it was too late. Dracula's hand shot out like a viper, grabbing Rowan by the throat. He lifted him effortlessly, his eyes burning with a centuries-old hunger. Rowan's struggles were futile. Dracula leaned in, his voice a chilling whisper, "There is no escape from me." With that, he sank his fangs into Rowan's neck, draining him in seconds. Eve ran as fast as her legs could carry her, her breath ragged, her vision blurred with tears. She sprinted past the ruined machinery, her heart pounding as the Dark Lord pursued her. The world seemed to warp and twist, the trees stretching toward her like twisted claws. Dracula's voice echoed in her mind, a haunting melody of death and despair. She reached the exit gate, hope briefly flickering in her chest. But as her trembling hands fumbled with the latch, the fog grew denser, swirling around her. Dracula emerged from the mist, his eyes glowing brighter than the moon. He stepped forward, slow, deliberate, savoring her fear. Eve turned to run, but the ground beneath her feet seemed to vanish, a trick of the Dark Lord's power. In a heartbeat, he was upon her, his cold hands gripping her shoulders as his fangs pierced her skin. Her vision faded to black, her body limp in his arms as Dracula drank deeply. As the night wore on, the fractured cowshed returned to its deathly silence. The wind howled, the fog thickened, and the Dark Lord vanished into the shadows, his hunt complete. In the desolate farm, no one remained alive. Dracula had claimed their souls, adding them to the countless lives he had consumed over the centuries. In this twisted realm, not even the night could escape his endless hunger.